Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to another Warcraft replay here. Yep, had to reinstall Netease again. Been acting up as usual. But yeah, hopefully the sound settings haven't changed. Let's just do a quick check. I don't think it has. I'm pretty sure I always use the default sound settings anyway, but yeah, we'll leave it as is. I'll just turn my headphones down a little bit since it is quite loud. No spectators, as we do have a ladder match. I was going to cast a tournament game, but it's already been covered by Back to Warcraft, and yeah, I highly recommend it. It is TH versus 120 from the W Cup. Yeah, at least the first game is pretty good. Just a shame that I won't be casting it, haha. But either way, we have Undead Mirror here on the map Concealed Hill. We have, I believe 120 spawning in as the red Undead in the bottom left, and he will be facing off against Happy, the blue Undead in the top right. Last time these guys played each other was Netease Ladder 12, which is a very long time ago, and the score is 1-all. So yeah, these guys played each other at least 2 times on the channel, at least for the Netease Ladder series, and yeah, eager to see what will befall this time around, because I believe 12 was at least a couple years ago, and the patch obviously is not 1.3.1. Although I do say that, I don't think much has actually changed with Undead in the recent patches, so like really nothing has probably changed landscape-wise. Either way, we are going to have a Death Knight first for Happy, going for the Todd opening, I believe.
Our forces are under attack.
Yeah, it looks like that is going to be the case. 120 just going to go for a Mass School opening, it seems. We have a Dreadlord first, which is I believe, which is what happened in TH's game as well. I think 120 went Dreadlord first in that game, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to cast it, but since I found this, I might as well cast this instead, since I would much prefer a Undead matchup rather than an Undead versus Human. But yeah, cool opening here for 120. Obviously the Dreadlord synergizes pretty well with the ghouls. It's almost similar to the Death Knight start with the Unholy Aura, giving the ghouls a bit more movement speed to possibly get some surrounds down, but Sleep is just probably the more reliable version of that. Might even call it the lazy version, but if it works, it works. We do have a Death Coil start here from the Death Knight, able to take down one of those gnolls for free. Ghouls are also being picked up here by possibly the skeletons, but it seems like the micro is just in time. Obviously the little conflict between the red and blue units is kind of messing up this possible expansion attempt. I'm not sure if this is actual expansion or not, but yeah, it is delaying the Dreadlord quite a bit. Obviously he can go for some sleeps to possibly surround the DK. Obviously skeletons could just hit the Death Knight themselves. In that case they didn't, because I guess being part of the surround just ensures that the Death Knight will wake up without taking unnecessary damage. But either way, not the cleanest of starts here for 120, unfortunately. Happy is gonna be pretty happy, I guess, being able to keep his opponent in control and honest with himself. Obviously keeping himself from expanding very early on is just going to be a bonus there. Early tier 2, it seems, I believe, should be coming in from both sides, but 120 is going to hold off on that tier 2, it seems, as he's just waiting for an opportune time to expand. Graveyard is going to be placed down, but yeah, if you're not going to place down and expand, you might as well have started taking up the tier 2. Right now you are kind of delaying things a lot here. Tier 2 is going to be completed very soon. We did have a Necropolis to I guess,
Our forces are under attack.
counteract the fact that Happy actually pulled his ghouls over to try and harass there, so obviously lumber was a bit of a problem, which is why you do see this necropolis here, acting as just I wouldn't call it a cheaper version of a ziggurat, but definitely a version that doesn't actually require lumber, because I believe necropolis only needs like, oh god, how much is it, like 200 gold, 200-ish gold, and no lumber required. The lumber obviously is required for the Haunted Goldmine version, as we do have the expansion finally being placed down. Level 2 Dreadlord is going to keep his ghouls and skeletons a lot more topped off thanks to that lifesteal aura. Freeze, I believe, is for the announcement that the Dark Ranger is popping out for the second hero of Happy, which is, I'm not sure if it's more aggressive, but yeah, that over the Lich is interesting to say the least, because I would say the Lich is probably more of the aggressive pick, since Frost Nova is just a lot more impactful than Black Arrows. But either way, yeah, Black Arrows is going to be the ability of choice there, and is going to pick up a free skeleton for himself. Obviously, since 120 is going for ghouls, they are a lot easier to pick up compared to those Crypt Fiends. You are going to see there that the Dreadlord is going to deny one of those ghouls. But still, this is not exactly the good position that 120 would want to be in. His base is going to get harassed. 3 Crypt Fiends might seem a little difficult to deal with, but with so many ghouls on the field, they are just going to surround the Dark Ranger instead. Death Coil is going to be used to try and heal up a little bit. TP Scroll is going to be transferred over here and will be used most likely at the last second possible. Will he try to go for the cancellation on the Haunted Goldmine? No, it's not going to happen, as yeah, the TV Scroll did finish channeling, but it's still pretty good because he did cancel the early attempt on the Goldmine, so just adding on the even more additional seconds, maybe even a minute on that build time. Still at tier 1, but I'm pretty sure we're just gonna go into mass schools for 120. Tier 3 is on the way for Happy, and
our forces are under attack.
yeah, just starting to go into standard army comp here. Crypt Fiends into destroyers. We might have Banshees, but
stand ready.
not sure what really warrants Banshees right now. Obviously Curse might be pretty good since there's a lot of targets for that, but they might just get mauled by those ghouls by themselves.
Our forces are under attack.
Okay, Dreadlord moving out here with level 3, which is something worth noting. I'm wanting to know if that is level 1 sleep. It is level 2, level 1 sleep. It is level 1 sleep, I'm trying to say. Not sure if the point has been allocated, it doesn't seem so. The Dreadlord is just going to sit on that extra point to see, I guess, whether or not he wants to go for Carrion Swarm, or if he wants to just put a point into Sleep or the Aura first, but since he's so close to level 4, I'm pretty sure that's just not going to be relevant anytime soon. Illusion here on the Death Knight, I'm pretty sure 120 is not going to get swayed, but here comes the engagement that probably is not what 120 wanted. Is going to lose 2 ghouls immediately for that, and he is going to give 2 skeletons over to the Dark Ranger.
Our town is under attack.
Black Citadel nearly completed, as we do have another an expansion attempt being answered here for Happy. 120 has spotted this, and he is kind of pressured in time because he is. I mean, he does have an expansion, but he's only mined about 500 gold so far. He is heavily down in terms of tech, and he's about to be equalized in terms of economy as well, so he is, I would say, very, very pressed for time. Dreadlord is going to get that level 4, which is I'm not sure if it's entirely important because the even-numbered levels are not that important in terms of impact. Obviously level 2 is, since you do gain access to a whole new ability, but level 4 is just an upgrade to that second ability. Level 5 is obviously where it matters the most, but since it is the Dreadlord who either has sleep or vampiric aura, it's kind of hard to determine if level 5 even is a power spike for him. Unless of course he did learn Carrion Swarm, which just got answered there. I believe that is level 2 Carrion Swarm, judging by how vampiric aura is still level 1 and I haven't seen a sleep being tossed. So yeah, level 5 will indeed be the power spike that the Dreadlord needs, since that will gain him access to that level 3 Carrion Swarm. It will do a whole load of damage to those statues, and I believe destroyers still get... I'm pretty sure destroyers still can get targeted by spells. So yeah, there is that. Black arrows might be able to convert one of those ghouls into a skeleton. Very, very close. I believe the Dark Ranger is fast enough, and yeah, there is that. Didn't actually turn into a skeleton. Huh. I guess the duration kind of wore off. But either way, Lich finally popping out for the third hero here. Should be able to pick up the Orb of Corruption as Happy is in low upkeep. Actually, both players are in low upkeep. I'm not sure if 120 wanted it to be because he is 51. No, he actually jumps to 57, which is a huge spike in supply there, as he is just massing up those gargoyles instead. So mass gargoyles transition from ghouls, which could be nice. I still stand to think that going into mass air versus a lot of Crypt Fiends might seem a little foolhardy, but perhaps 120 amasses just so many gargoyles that the Crypt Fiends can't wave them all. Level 3 Death Knight, a bit of a power spike there for himself because that is level 2 Death Coil, so more heals. Definitely not more damage because it is an undead matchup. You can't actually Death Coil the opponents unless they have a non-undead Tavern Hero, which don't think has been picked up just yet for 120. Very quick level 2 for the Lich, which is something important to note because the hero advantage will eventually mean something, especially when one of the players is just sticking to one hero. Dust has been utilized, but I think he was expecting a shade, but yeah, there are no shades. There won't actually be any shades as we are gonna build a Temple of the Damned here for Happy, which yeah, if he actually scouted the gargoyles, I'm pretty sure it won't actually, those banshees won't actually be necessary. They will actually get shredded by ghouls and gargoyles alike, but yeah, level 5 for the Dreadlord I believe has been attained, and we have the Broken Magi, which is pretty good. Plus intelligence is always nice for any kind of hero. And here we go. Little skirmish. The destroyers are being chased around by those gargoyles there, but as you can see, despite me talking about those Crypt Fiends, there just doesn't seem to be enough Crypt Fiends to whip all of those gargoyles, and they will be able to successfully chase down those destroyers. Whether or not they were able to completely take them down is completely irrelevant because it just gave the ghouls enough leeway to just manhandle those Crypt Fiends. So even if gargoyles don't exactly kill all those destroyers, it does leave those Crypt Fiends without really any ways to deal with those ghouls. And I believe since we are at Black Citadel, Frenzy is upgraded. Yep, Frenzy is upgraded, +1 attack upgrades for the gargoyles I believe, and +2 attack upgrade for the ghouls. So all about offense it seems, just completely ignoring the armor upgrades for now. Yep, +2 attack upgrades for the gargoyles is on the way as well. Alright, he's expansion is going to be sieged, I would say. It's probably, oh wow, that is a lot of gargoyles, and that destroyer got completely bursted down to red health there. Needs to be careful not to get a little too close. As you can see here, gargoyles do a huge amount of melee damage, and yeah, they need to keep their distance. Banshees, you can see, are starting to toss around their curses, but I'm not sure how impactful that's going to be, considering how there's just so many units to try and apply those curses to. Gargoyle is going to go straight after those acolytes there. Destroyers need to be careful about the turnaround. Once again, turnaround has begun, and Frost Nova to try and keep those gargoyles a little bit slowed there, but
Our town is under attack.
yeah, needs to be careful because the Dreadlord is racking up those kills. He just actually hit that level 6, and the Infernal is gonna drop, so I believe that freeze was because of that level 6. Yeah, that is a huge ground threat to worry about for Happy, as 120 has a lot of gargoyles still in the air to deal with those destroyers. I believe destroyer number 1 got destroyed, which is a pretty good pick, despite losing a couple of ghouls and gargoyles for that. It seems the Infernal got left behind, which probably might have been a mistake. Obviously you would want to have 100% uptime on that Infernal, because the duration of the Infernal is equal to the cooldown of the ability. So yeah, if he dies early on, that's just completely wasted usage of that particular unit. We even have an expansion in the middle, which obviously is a lot harder to defend for either players. Don't think has been noticed by Happy. That is a huge Frost Nova to try and slow those gargoyles there, but like I said before, it doesn't really matter if they don't kill those destroyers or not. It's the fact that they're forcing them to run all the time is the most important part there. Nice Carrion Swarm is going to do a huge amount of damage to take down those Banshees. Crypt Fiends are very, very dwindling numbers right now. TP Scroll channeling once again for the Blue Lich, and the Blue Undead Army is going to retreat after suffering a little bit more losses there. Obviously, gargoyles can get picked up as well in return, but gargoyles are kind of like flying machines. They're relatively cheap, and they can be replenished fairly quickly, especially with double crypt. But yeah, this expansion should be noticed by Happy, since he does have destroyers, and he should have noticed the corrupted trees, undead trees. So yeah, also on a timer, I would say, because the economic advantage is now swung over to his opponent, and he is constantly losing these team fights, which is not something he would want happening. Carrion Swarm on these statues might be pretty devastating. The silence is onto that Dreadlord, level 7 Dreadlord, which is not that big of a deal. It does get a level 2, I believe, aura to the ghouls and gargoyles there. Statues are just going to get completely wiped out by those gargoyles there. Yeah, I honestly don't know how well Happy can actually deal with this gargoyle threat. I honestly thought that he would focus a lot more on his Crypt Fiend numbers rather than adding a couple more Banshees. Obviously Banshees utilized for curses, as well as the green shield to try and block the damage from the Carrion Swarms, but it's not working out right now, and I'm not like, Happy is still maintaining with this course, which I'm not sure is the wisest of choices. Infernal is gonna drop once again, and with only 3 Crypt Fiends on the field, 2 right now, I really can't imagine them dealing with all these ghouls, all these gargoyles, and that one Infernal. Obviously, level 7 Dreadlord, nothing to scoff at either. It seems like the traditional undead army comp just doesn't seem to fare well versus this huge and massive units right now.
Our forces are under attack.
Yeah, it's just it's a pretty big predicament for Happy to be in, because if he goes mass Crypt Fiends, then it just makes the Infernal, like, the Infernal ability actually even better with that AoE stun. Obviously they can make quick work out of those gargoyles, but yeah, it's just not happening right now. Obviously there's not that many ghouls anymore for 120, which makes me think that maybe mass Crypt Fiends might be the answer, but we are still pumping out Banshees on top of those Crypt Fiends, which I'm not sure if it is the correct decision.
Our forces are under attack.
So here we go again, another Karen Swarm. Obviously not going to do too much since the green shields are still applied onto those spiders. The Frost Novas are obviously more important for the Lich because 2, maybe 3 of those Frost Novas might be able to do a decent amount of damage to those gargoyles, might even kill them. But yeah, he kind of needs that level 5 if he wants to possibly 2-shot those gargoyles. Expansion once again is going to be cleared out. It was cleared out before. Infernal, not really in good position, but he will be able to run away, it seems, as the Karen Swarm did take down yet another statue. So yeah, level 3 Karen Swarm is nothing to ignore. It's just oh wow, that was a huge Frost Nova. It's just you really can't deal with any. You can't deal with so many of these threats coming in from 120. I mean, the Frost Novas you can see there is doing a huge amount of damage, but the Lich obviously is not getting enough freeway to keep casting. The gargoyles are still clumping up, but now that the Lich is out of mana, yeah, what is he gonna do right now? Karen Swarm once again being tossed over the Crypt Fiends there. Dreadlord needs to be careful not to overextend. He did actually hit that level 8, which is pretty good. I'm not sure if he's gonna put that point into Vampire Agora or Sleep, but he needs to be careful not to die, because if he does die, he is the only hero for 120. He is the only, currently the only ground threat, I would say, for 120 right now. He is starting to replenish his ghoul numbers, and we do have the Death Knight coming out as the second hero for once, so some healing is available for the undead army of the red side, but yeah, I think maybe 120 ate a little bit too many Frost Novas in this game, and he is starting to suffer. The losses here is gonna be at no upkeep for quite some time before probably jumping into mass producing those ghouls / gargoyles, even going into triple crypts right now. But yeah, I think he's just trying to milk as much gold from those double gold mines as possible before going into obviously the upkeep tax. Slaughterhouse is being added to the mix here for 120, which is kind of surprising, but now that Happy has kind of rebuilt and reestablished his army, I think, yeah, I don't think mass ghouls and mass gargoyles are going to cut it anymore, it seems. That's what I think. Karen Swarm once again is going to try to do as much damage as possible. Obviously it's just going to hit the statues because they weren't actually green shielded. Now they are gonna be, but this is a bit of a weird position now, because all of a sudden losing that huge bunch of gargoyles left 120 in a pretty weak stance. It's very confusing to me because it looked like he was very dominant in the mid game, but all of a sudden he is now not. Very, very weird. +2, +0, I believe it's still the same for the ghouls. I'm not sure if the upgrades is even a factor. +2, +2 for the Crypt Fiends and Destroyers there. But still, I didn't actually expect Happy to suddenly becomes so difficult to deal with. Dreadlord,
Summoning is
level 8,
under
which
attack.
obviously isn't something you see all too often. But obviously that was in sacrifice of not having a second hero for the majority of the game. Gargoyles just doing what they can by harassing as best they can, but
Our forces are under attack.
yeah, not exactly the usage I was expecting those gargoyles to have. Death Knight is gonna get that level 2, which gives him that unholy aura. Right. Sackpit is on the field. I'm not sure if we're gonna go into Boneyard all the way, but yeah, something I have just noticed right now is that
Our forces
the
are
gold
under
mines
attack.
are starting to run out, and this gold mine is going to be very, very crucial. It is now being occupied by Happy, and 120 does have a lot of resources in the bank right now, but once those gold mines run dry, it is basically a race to control whoever has the middle gold mine. Crypt Fiends with green bubbles are going to just eat up the carrion swarms there from the Dreadlord. He needs to be really sparingly with his mana as well, because since you're going to be out of gold, you really can't afford to spend gold on those mana potions. We're going to have another carrion swarm being tossed over there. Obviously, Banshee's just going to reapply those green shields. Crypt is going to go down, which is going to just reduce the production of 120 by about 30%. And in terms of supply, it is even, but yeah, it's Crypt Fiends, statues, banshees versus ghouls and gargoyles, which might not be
Our forces are under attack.
might not actually be even. Obviously, these carrion swarms appear to be doing a huge amount of cumulative damage to the backline here, but is that going to be enough? I have actually no idea. This is a weird position for 120 to be in, because he was so dominant earlier on. It's just I didn't expect this drastic turnaround to exactly happen. Either way, 80 supply for both sides. Hero advantage obviously going towards... Actually, I have no idea. Level 8, level 2 versus level 4, level 4, level 4. It's really weird. Obviously, hero synergy favors Happy a lot more, but here comes the fight. Nice Infernal to do a lot of controlling damage onto those Crypt Fiends, as that is a lot of ghouls, which very much turns things around. Obviously, Destroyer is also being added to the mix as well. They can eat up the curses from the Banshees. Another Carrion Swarm is going to get tossed around. Infernal, full health, not being dealt with at all either. And Happy is being pushed back slowly but surely. And this is rather worrisome. Obviously, desperate attempts here from 120 since he's about to be out of gold. But yeah, with so many ghouls, this should look good for the red side. Carrion Swarm is doing a lot of damage now that these green bubbles are being worn off. Death Coil is going to try and heal up those units, obviously on both sides there. The Carrion Swarm is going to do as much as possible. Death Knight is lowering to half health, which is something you have to be a bit worrisome about. He does have the Ruby Scroll, so he can use it if he is in trouble. But another Carrion Swarm is going to do a huge amount of damage to the blue side there. Dreadlord is now out of mana, so either he needs to go back and drink up a mana pot, or
Our forces are under
he needs to
attack.
be topped up with that, with those statues on the ground. But either way, huge amount of damage being dealt. Surprisingly enough, Happy is the one that is maintaining the supply advantage. Apparently, just 120 lost a lot more ghouls. Which is really weird. I didn't actually see him losing that many units. I guess he just lost them and just produced them with the crypts, but yeah, it's really weird. I thought Happy was the one being pushed back, but he is still maintaining his position. Obviously the green bubbles are going to be renewed, and level 5 onto the DK of Happy. He is going to be providing full heals for his side now. Banshees are applying their curse. The destroyers not actually able to eat them. I don't even know if the destroyer... Oh, we do have one, but it is being whipped. Happy once again is kiting to the best of his ability. Ghouls are being slowly taken down there. Skeletons are being risen in their place. Dreadlord is going to try his best to solo carry as best he can, but with very little mana available, and he is now being focused, is going to drink that invuln pot. 38 versus 75, Happy, it seems like he is gonna be able to take this victory, despite what the mid game showed, despite so many gargoyles, so many ghouls. He is going to prevail with just persistence, it seems. And that's gonna be that. With the death of the DK on 120 side, Happy is gonna take this game. Score extremely close. Main differences, it seems, were the heroes. It appears as level 5, level 5, level 5 versus level 8, level 3. But I think it was just the fact that 120 wasn't able to finish the game in time before his units eventually became obsolete. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, it turns out Banshees actually proved their worth.